George Washington. The name resonates through history. It is a symbol of revolution, leadership, and the very essence of early America. Few figures loom as large in the American consciousness. He is the father of a nation, a title bestowed not lightly. Washington's journey from humble beginnings to leading a fledgling nation is an epic tale. It is a story of courage, conviction, and unwavering commitment to the ideals of liberty. Washington's life was inextricably intertwined with the birth of a nation. He navigated treacherous political landscapes. He faced formidable foes on the battlefield. Through it all, his leadership remained steadfast. Washington, more than any other figure, shaped the destiny of the United States. He led a ragtag army to victory against the mighty British Empire. Washington helped establish a government built on principles of democracy and freedom. His presidency set a precedent for the peaceful transfer of power. This act alone solidified the foundation of American democracy. His impact extends far beyond his lifetime. Washington's legacy continues to inspire generations of Americans. He's a reminder of the power of leadership, the importance of unity, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. George Washington was born into a world vastly different from the one we know today. Colonial Virginia was a land of opportunity and hardship. It was a world where social standing and family name held significant weight. Washington, born into a family of modest means, defied the expectations of his time. His father, Augustine Washington, was a planter and owned a substantial amount of land. Augustine instilled in young George the importance of hard work, discipline, and integrity. These values would become the bedrock of Washington's character. They would guide him through the many challenges he would face throughout his life. Washington's formal education was limited. However, he was a voracious reader and a keen observer of human nature. He devoured books on history, military strategy, and agriculture. This self-directed learning fostered a sharp intellect and a thirst for knowledge that served him well. His early experiences surveying the vast wilderness of Virginia honed his leadership skills. He learned to navigate treacherous terrain, manage men, and make critical decisions under pressure. These experiences forged within him a resilience and a determination that would prove invaluable in the years to come. At the age of 16, Washington embarked on a career that would profoundly shape his character, surveying. The Virginia wilderness, vast and untamed, became his classroom. He traversed dense forests, navigated treacherous rivers, and endured harsh weather conditions. The experience instilled in him a deep appreciation for the land and its challenges. Surveying was not merely a technical pursuit for Washington. It was an exercise in leadership and decision-making. He learned to manage teams of men, often from diverse backgrounds. He had to resolve disputes, maintain morale, and ensure the accuracy of his surveys. These experiences honed his ability to inspire and lead, qualities that would prove essential in his later years. As he traversed the Virginia frontier, Washington encountered Native American tribes. These encounters, some peaceful and others marked by tension, provided him with first-hand experience of the complexities of intercultural relations. He observed their customs, learned their languages, and developed a nuanced understanding of their perspectives. This understanding would inform his policies towards Native Americans during his presidency. Washington's reputation as a surveyor grew with each successful expedition. He earned a reputation for his meticulousness, his fairness, and his ability to overcome adversity. Landowners and government officials alike sought his services. He was entrusted with surveying vast tracts of land, some of which would later become the battlegrounds of the American Revolution. Tragedy struck the Washington family when George was just 11 years old. His father, Augustine, passed away, leaving behind a young family and a considerable estate. While his half-brother Lawrence inherited the family's primary residence, Ferry Farm, George inherited 10 slaves and several properties. This inheritance, while a mark of his father's love, also burdened him with the responsibility of managing human lives at a young age. Lawrence, significantly older than George, became a father figure to him. Lawrence had married into the wealthy and influential Fairfax family, further elevating the family's social standing. Through Lawrence, George gained access to a world of political connections and intellectual discourse. He attended social gatherings at Belvoir, the Fairfax estate, where he engaged in conversations about politics, philosophy, and the growing tensions between Great Britain and the colonies. Lawrence recognized George's potential and secured for him a position as surveyor of Culpeper County. This appointment, a testament to the trust placed in a young man of 20, provided George with financial stability and solidified his social standing within the colony. It also furthered his understanding of land ownership, colonial administration, and the intricate power dynamics that governed Virginia society. The death of Lawrence in 1752, when George was just 20 years old, came as a profound blow. George inherited more land and slaves, further increasing his wealth and responsibilities. He also assumed the role of Adjutant General of the Virginia Militia, a position that would mark the beginning of his military career and test his leadership in ways he could not have anticipated. The French and Indian War, a conflict that engulfed North America, provided the crucible in which George Washington's leadership skills were forged. In 1753, at the age of 21, he was dispatched by the governor of Virginia on a perilous mission to the Ohio Valley. His task was to deliver a message to the French, demanding their withdrawal from the disputed territory. This mission, fraught with danger and requiring diplomatic finesse, marked Washington's entry onto the stage of international affairs. Washington's journey through the wilderness was fraught with challenges. He navigated treacherous terrain, endured harsh weather conditions, and negotiated with wary Native American tribes. Despite his efforts, his mission proved unsuccessful. The French refused to abandon their claims, setting the stage for a wider conflict. Upon his return to Virginia, Washington was commissioned as a lieutenant colonel in the Virginia militia. He was tasked with raising a company of men and defending the colony's western frontier. His first military engagement, the Battle of Jumonville Glen in 1754, resulted in a victory for the colonists, but also ignited a firestorm of controversy. The death of a French envoy during the battle escalated tensions between Great Britain and France, drawing the two empires closer to war. Washington's early military experiences were marked by both successes and setbacks. He demonstrated courage under fire and a willingness to lead from the front. However, he also faced defeat and criticism for his tactical decisions. These experiences, often harsh and unforgiving, shaped Washington's understanding of the complexities of warfare and the importance of adaptability and resilience in the face of adversity. The French and Indian War, a conflict that engulfed North America, served as a harsh yet invaluable training ground for the young George Washington. In 1755, he served as an aide to General Edward Braddock, commander of the British forces, during the ill-fated expedition to seize Fort Duquesne from the French. Washington, witnessing firsthand the rigid tactics of the British Army, urged Braddock to adapt to the guerrilla warfare employed by the French and their Native American allies. His advice, however, went unheeded. Braddock's army, marching in formation through the dense forests, was ambushed near Fort Duquesne. The British suffered a devastating defeat, with Braddock himself mortally wounded. Washington, amidst the chaos and carnage, displayed remarkable courage and composure. He rallied the retreating troops, helped to recover the wounded, and ensured the orderly retreat of the surviving forces. Following the disaster at Monongahela, Washington was given command of the Virginia Regiment, tasked with defending the colony's vast western frontier. It was a daunting responsibility for a young officer, facing a determined enemy and limited resources. He oversaw the construction of forts, constantly patrolled the wilderness for signs of enemy activity, and endured harsh conditions alongside his men. Throughout his campaigns, Washington faced constant challenges. Supplies were often scarce, reinforcements slow to arrive, and the threat of Native American raids ever present. He learned to make do with limited resources, to adapt his strategies to the terrain and the enemy, and to inspire his men through sheer force of will. These experiences, though trying, molded him into a seasoned military leader. Washington's reputation as a capable and courageous officer grew with each passing year. He led expeditions against Native American villages allied with the French, earning a reputation for his daring raids and tactical acumen. His successes, however, were often overshadowed by the larger strategic failures of the British war effort. Frustrated by a lack of support and resources, Washington resigned his commission in 1758. His retirement from military life proved short-lived. In 1759, he was elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses, where he continued to advocate for the colony's defense. Washington's wartime experiences had instilled in him a deep understanding of the importance of a strong military and the need for colonial unity in the face of external threats. These convictions would shape his political views in the years leading up to the American Revolution. With the French and Indian War finally over, Washington returned to civilian life at Mount Vernon, his beloved estate. He devoted himself to managing his plantation, expanding his land holdings, and improving his agricultural practices. However, his thoughts often drifted back to the lessons learned on the battlefield and the growing tensions between Great Britain and her American colonies. Washington's military experience had a profound impact on his character and leadership style. He had learned the importance of discipline, organization, and strategic thinking. He had also witnessed firsthand the devastating consequences of poor leadership and the need for adaptability in the face of adversity. These lessons, etched in the fires of war, would prove invaluable when he was called upon to lead the Continental Army in the fight for American independence. Washington's time in command of the Virginia Regiment, while marked by moments of courage and tactical ingenuity, was not without its share of setbacks and frustrations. The vastness of the frontier, coupled with limited resources and a constant shortage of manpower, made it nearly impossible to secure the entire region. Raids by Native American war parties continued to plague settlements, and Washington often found himself on the defensive, reacting to events rather than dictating them. One particularly disheartening episode occurred in 1756 when Fort Granby, a key outpost in the Shenandoah Valley, fell to a French and Native American force. The fort's capture, despite Washington's efforts to reinforce it, exposed the vulnerability of the Virginia frontier and highlighted the strategic challenges he faced. The loss of Fort Granby served as a stark reminder of the constant threat posed by the enemy and the difficult choices facing those tasked with defending the colony. Washington also faced criticism from some quarters for his handling of the colony's defense. His requests for more men and supplies were often met with delays or outright refusals from the House of Burgesses. Some questioned his tactical decisions, particularly his reliance on aggressive patrols and preemptive strikes against Native American villages. These criticisms, though often fueled by political maneuvering and the fog of war, weighed heavily on Washington, who took his responsibilities deeply to heart. Despite these challenges, Washington persevered. He continued to advocate for his men, to refine his tactics, and to inspire those around him with his unwavering determination. He understood that the defense of the frontier was not just about winning battles, but about protecting the lives and livelihoods of the colonists who called it home. His commitment to this cause, even in the face of adversity, would later become a hallmark of his leadership during the American Revolution. The French and Indian War, though ultimately a British victory, left an indelible mark on George Washington. He emerged from the conflict a seasoned military leader, tempered by the fires of battle and the weight of responsibility. He had learned firsthand the importance of discipline, organization, and adaptability in the face of a determined enemy. The war had also exposed him to the complexities of military strategy and the often frustrating realities of political decision-making. Perhaps the most important lesson Washington learned during this period was the value of leadership by example. He understood that to inspire his men he had to share their hardships, to face the same dangers, and to never ask of them what he was not willing to do himself. This commitment to shared sacrifice earned him the respect and loyalty of his troops, who recognized in him a leader who led not from behind a desk, but from the front lines. The war also taught Washington the importance of knowing both his allies and his enemies. He had learned to navigate the complex web of alliances between Native American tribes, some friendly to the British, others fiercely opposed. He had also gained valuable insights into the strengths and weaknesses of the British military, knowledge that would prove invaluable during the American Revolution. By the time the war ended, Washington had transformed from a young and ambitious surveyor into a respected military leader and a seasoned veteran. He carried with him the scars of battle, both physical and emotional, but also a profound understanding of the art of war and the nature of leadership. These experiences, though often harsh and unforgiving, had forged him into the leader America would need in its fight for independence. As tensions escalated between Great Britain and its American colonies in the 1770s, George Washington found himself increasingly drawn into the vortex of revolution. A man of peace by nature, he initially opposed a complete break with Great Britain. He believed that dialogue and compromise could still bridge the chasm that had emerged between the mother country and her colonial offspring. However, Washington's commitment to the liberties of his fellow colonists ran deep, and he viewed the actions of the British Crown with growing alarm. The imposition of new taxes without colonial representation in Parliament struck Washington as a fundamental violation of colonial rights. He joined his fellow Virginians in protesting these measures, eloquently articulating the principles of self-government and individual liberty that lay at the heart of the colonial cause. Washington's reputation for integrity, his wartime experience, and his unwavering commitment to the principles of fairness and justice made him a natural leader in this time of growing unrest. In 1774, Washington represented Virginia at the First Continental Congress, a gathering of delegates from the colonies seeking to coordinate their response to British policies. At the Congress, Washington's military experience and his calm demeanor commanded respect. He listened intently to the debates, weighing the arguments for reconciliation with the growing calls for resistance. Though still hoping for a peaceful resolution, Washington recognized that the colonies must prepare for the possibility of war. When the Second Continental Congress convened in 1775, the situation had escalated dramatically. The battles of Lexington and Concord had ignited armed conflict, and the colonies found themselves at war with the most powerful empire on earth. The Congress, recognizing the need for a unified military command, unanimously elected George Washington as commander-in-chief of the newly formed Continental Army. It was a responsibility he did not seek, but one he could not, in good conscience, refuse. Assuming command of the Continental Army in the summer of 1775, George Washington faced a daunting challenge. The army he inherited was a ragtag collection of colonial militias, lacking training, discipline, and standardized equipment. Supplies were scarce, funds were low, and morale, while initially high, would be tested time and again in the crucible of war. Washington, however, faced this Herculean task with characteristic determination and a steadfast belief in the righteousness of the colonial cause. His first task was to mold this undisciplined force into a cohesive fighting unit. Drawing upon his experiences in the French and Indian War, Washington instilled discipline, drilled his troops relentlessly, and sought to secure the supplies and equipment necessary to sustain a prolonged conflict. He understood that victory against the British would require more than just battlefield prowess. It would demand patience, perseverance, and the unwavering support of the civilian population. Washington's leadership was tested early and often during the long years of the Revolutionary War. He faced a formidable enemy in the British Army, a professional fighting force with superior training, equipment, and resources. Defeats were inevitable, and Washington endured his share of setbacks, including the loss of New York City in 1776 and the winter encampment at Valley Forge, where his army suffered terribly from cold, disease, and lack of supplies. Yet, through it all, Washington never wavered in his commitment to the cause of American independence. He rallied his troops after defeats, inspired them with his own courage and determination, and always led from the front. He understood the importance of maintaining the morale of his men, and he shared their hardships, endured their suffering, and celebrated their triumphs as his own. As the Revolutionary War dragged on, George Washington's strategic brilliance came to the fore. He understood that the Continental Army could not hope to defeat the British in a conventional war of attrition. Instead, he adopted a strategy of attrition and strategic retreat, choosing his battles carefully and aiming to wear down the enemy's resolve while preserving his own forces. He became a master of utilizing the vastness of the American landscape to his advantage, striking at the enemy when and where they least expected it. One of Washington's most daring and decisive victories came at the Battle of Trenton on Christmas night, 1776. With his army demoralized after a series of defeats, Washington conceived a bold plan to cross the ice-choked Delaware River and surprise a Hessian garrison at Trenton. The attack, executed with precision and ferocity, resulted in a resounding victory for the Continental Army, capturing much-needed supplies and, more importantly, boosting morale at a critical juncture in the war. Washington's greatest triumph came in 1781 at the Battle of Yorktown, Virginia. Recognizing an opportunity to trap a large British force under General Cornwallis, Washington, in a brilliant strategic maneuver, marched his army south from New York, coordinating his movements with French forces under the Comte de Rochambeau. The Franco-American alliance, forged through years of diplomacy and cemented by mutual distrust of British imperial ambitions, proved decisive. The siege of Yorktown was a masterpiece of military coordination and perseverance. Trapped between the Continental Army and the French fleet, Cornwallis was forced to surrender his entire army, effectively ending major combat operations in the Revolutionary War. The victory at Yorktown, a testament to Washington's strategic acumen and the courage and sacrifice of the American and French soldiers under his command, secured American independence and forever etched George Washington's name in the annals of military history. Following the victory at Yorktown and the Treaty of Paris, which formally recognized American independence, George Washington yearned for the tranquility of Mount Vernon. He had sacrificed years of his life, risked his fortune, and endured unimaginable hardships to secure the future of his fledgling nation. Now, with the war won, he longed to return to the familiar comforts of home, to the embrace of his beloved wife Martha, and to the management of his plantation. However, fate, it seemed, had other plans for the victorious general. The newly formed nation, still grappling with the challenges of establishing a stable government, looked to Washington once more for guidance. The Articles of Confederation, the nation's first attempt at a constitution, had proven woefully inadequate, plagued by weaknesses that threatened to unravel the very fabric of the newly won Union. In 1787, Washington reluctantly agreed to preside over the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. He understood the gravity of the task before him. The delegates, representing 13 diverse states, each with their own interests and priorities, were tasked with forging a new government, one capable of ensuring domestic tranquility, providing for the common defense, and securing the blessings of liberty for generations to come. Washington, though not directly involved in the debates, commanded respect and exerted a calming influence over the often contentious proceedings. His presence alone, a symbol of unity and purpose, helped to bridge divides and forge compromises. When the delegates finally emerged from Independence Hall, they presented to the nation a new constitution, a document that has stood the test of time, a testament to the wisdom and foresight of its framers. Section 2. Shaping a New Nation. The unanimous election of George Washington as the first President of the United States in 1789 was a foregone conclusion. He was, in the eyes of his countrymen, the indispensable man, the only figure who commanded the respect and legitimacy necessary to guide the nation through its infancy. Washington, though acutely aware of the challenges that lay ahead, accepted the mantle of leadership once more, driven by an unwavering sense of duty and a profound belief in the promise of the American experiment. The task before him was monumental. He had to breathe life into the words of the Constitution, to establish the institutions of government, to define the role of the presidency, and to navigate the treacherous waters of domestic and foreign policy. There were no precedents to follow, no guidebooks to consult, only the wisdom gleaned from history, the principles enshrined in the Constitution, and Washington's own unwavering moral compass. One of Washington's first acts as president was to assemble a cabinet of advisors, men of intellect, experience, and, perhaps most importantly, shared commitment to the success of the new nation. He chose Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence, as his Secretary of State, Alexander Hamilton, a brilliant financier as his Secretary of the Treasury, and Henry Knox, a trusted confidant from the Revolutionary War, as his Secretary of War. Together, Washington and his cabinet faced a myriad of challenges. They had to establish a national bank, raise revenue to pay off the nation's war debts, negotiate treaties with foreign powers, and address the issue of westward expansion, all while navigating the treacherous currents of partisan politics, which, even in these early days, threatened to divide the young nation. Section 3. Navigating a divided cabinet. Washington's cabinet, while composed of brilliant minds, proved to be a breeding ground for ideological clashes. Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, two giants of their time, found themselves on opposite sides of nearly every issue. Jefferson, a staunch advocate for states' rights and an agrarian society, viewed Hamilton's vision of a strong central government and a diversified economy with suspicion. Hamilton, for his part, believed that a robust federal government was essential to the nation's survival and prosperity. He championed the creation of a national bank, the assumption of state debts, and the imposition of tariffs to protect American industries. Jefferson, fearing that such measures would concentrate too much power in the hands of the federal government and benefit the wealthy at the expense of the common man, vehemently opposed Hamilton's agenda. Washington, caught in the crossfire of these ideological battles, often found himself playing the role of mediator. He understood that the survival of the nation depended on finding common ground, on balancing the competing interests of different regions and factions. He listened patiently to the arguments of his advisors, weighed the potential consequences of each course of action, and sought to forge compromises that, while perhaps not satisfying to all, served the greater good. The debates within Washington's cabinet reflected the growing pains of a new nation struggling to define itself, the ideological divide between Jefferson and Hamilton, between those who favored a limited federal government and those who believed in a more expansive national vision, would continue to shape American politics for generations to come. Section 4. Preserving a Legacy. As Washington's second term drew to a close, he yearned once more for the peace and quiet of Mount Vernon. He had served his nation faithfully, guiding it through its infancy, establishing the institutions of government and setting precedents that would shape the presidency for centuries to come. He had led with wisdom, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to the principles enshrined in the Constitution. In 1796, Washington made the momentous decision to retire from public life. He understood that the peaceful transfer of power was essential to the survival of the Republic. By voluntarily relinquishing the presidency, he set a precedent that would become a cornerstone of American democracy, a testament to the enduring strength of its institutions. Before retiring to Mount Vernon, Washington penned a farewell address to the nation, a document filled with wisdom and foresight, a parting gift to the people he had served so faithfully. In his address, he warned against the dangers of partisan strife, the importance of national unity, and the need to steer clear of entangling alliances with foreign powers. His words, imbued with the weight of experience and the sincerity of his convictions, would resonate throughout American history. George Washington's presidency was a masterclass in leadership, a testament to the power of integrity, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to the common good. He had laid the foundation for a nation founded on the principles of liberty, justice, and self-government, a nation that, despite the challenges it would face, would continue to strive towards the ideals embodied in its founding documents. George Washington's death in 1799, just 2 years after his retirement from public life, plunged a nation into mourning. The man who had led the Continental Army to victory, presided over the Constitutional Convention, and served as the first President of the United States, was gone. Yet, in death, as in life, Washington continued to inspire. He became a symbol of national unity, a rallying point for a young nation still grappling with its identity and its place in the world. The outpouring of grief that followed his death transcended political and regional divides. Federalists and Democratic Republicans, Northerners and Southerners, all mourned the loss of their leader, their father figure, the man who had come to embody the ideals of the American Revolution. Tributes poured in from across the nation and from abroad, hailing Washington's wisdom, his integrity, and his unwavering commitment to the principles of liberty and self-government. In the years following his death, Washington's legend grew. He became a mythical figure, his life story told and retold in countless biographies, poems, and songs. Schools, towns, and even a state were named in his honor. Monuments were erected in his likeness, their towering presence a constant reminder of his enduring legacy. The Washington Monument, a majestic obelisk piercing the sky above the nation's capital, stands as a testament to the reverence in which he was held. The image of George Washington, often depicted on horseback or in his military uniform, became an enduring symbol of American strength, resilience, and unwavering commitment to freedom. His farewell address, a timeless message of unity, wisdom, and caution, continued to be read and reread by generations of Americans, its words offering guidance and inspiration in times of both prosperity and peril. George Washington's legacy extends far beyond monuments and memorials. It is woven into the very fabric of American society, shaping its institutions, its values, and its aspirations. The United States, in many ways, is a nation forged in his image, a testament to his vision of a government based on the consent of the governed, dedicated to the principles of liberty, justice, and the rule of law. Washington's presidency established precedents that continue to shape the office to this day. His emphasis on civilian control of the military, his creation of a cabinet of advisors, and his insistence on serving only 2 terms established norms that have become enshrined in American political tradition. His farewell address, with its warnings against the dangers of partisan strife and foreign entanglements, continues to resonate with policymakers and citizens alike. Washington's commitment to education, agriculture, and westward expansion helped to shape the nation's development. He believed that an educated citizenry was essential to the success of a republic, and he advocated for the establishment of public schools. He saw in the vast expanse of the American West the potential for economic growth and opportunity, and he encouraged westward settlement. Perhaps most importantly, Washington's legacy is a testament to the power of leadership, integrity, and unwavering commitment to the common good. He showed that it was possible to lead with courage and conviction, to place the interests of the nation above personal ambition, and to inspire others to embrace the ideals of liberty, justice, and self-government. His life and his legacy continue to serve as a beacon of hope and inspiration, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit, guided by wisdom and driven by a belief in a better tomorrow, can triumph over adversity. George Washington's life was inextricably intertwined with the birth and development of the United States. From his early experiences as a surveyor navigating the vast wilderness to his leadership during the tumultuous years of the American Revolution, Washington's journey embodies the spirit of a nation striving for independence and self-determination. He was a man of his time, shaped by the values and beliefs of colonial Virginia, yet he possessed a vision that extended far beyond the confines of his era. As Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, Washington faced a seemingly insurmountable challenge, leading a ragtag force of colonial militias against the might of the British Empire. Yet through sheer force of will, strategic brilliance, and an unwavering belief in the righteousness of the cause, he led the fledgling nation to victory, securing the blessings of liberty for generations to come. His leadership, characterized by courage, resilience, and an unyielding commitment to the principles of freedom, served as a beacon of hope during the darkest days of the Revolution. Washington's presidency was no less consequential. Tasked with breathing life into the newly ratified Constitution, he established the institutions of government, defined the role of the presidency, and navigated the treacherous waters of domestic and foreign policy. He assembled a cabinet of brilliant minds, though often divided by ideology, and guided the nation through its infancy. His decisions, often made in the face of intense scrutiny and partisan bickering, set precedents that continue to shape American governance to this day. The peaceful transfer of power at the end of his second term stands as a testament to Washington's unwavering belief in the principles of republicanism. By voluntarily relinquishing the presidency, he set a powerful example for his successors, establishing a tradition that has become a cornerstone of American democracy. More than 2 centuries after his death, George Washington remains an iconic figure, revered not only for his accomplishments but for the qualities he embodied: integrity, courage, determination, and an unwavering commitment to the common good. He was a man who, despite his flaws and imperfections, rose to meet the challenges of his time, shaping the destiny of a nation and leaving an indelible mark on the course of human history. Washington's legacy extends far beyond the monuments and memorials that bear his name. It is woven into the fabric of American society, shaping its institutions, its values, and its aspirations. The United States, with its enduring commitment to liberty, democracy, and the rule of law, stands as a testament to the vision of its founding father, a vision forged in the crucible of revolution and tempered by the wisdom of experience. In an era often characterized by cynicism and disillusionment with leadership, Washington's life serves as a timely reminder of the power of integrity, vision, and unwavering dedication to the common good. He reminds us that true leadership is not about personal ambition or the pursuit of power, but about serving a cause greater than oneself, about building a more just and equitable society for all. George Washington, the man who led a nation to independence and laid the foundation for a government of by and for the people, continues to inspire generations of Americans and citizens around the world. His story is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, the transformative potential of leadership, and the enduring belief in the possibility of creating a more perfect union. His is a legacy forged in liberty, etched in the annals of history, and forever entwined with the soul of a nation.